featuring 6 hours for a lifetime, coming to you from an undisclosed location deep in the Appalachian Mountain Range. This is For the Broken.
Hello everyone tuning in, and welcome to For the Broken, a podcast dedicating to helping the lost and the broken. I'm Keith, your host. Today I'm here with Jeff, Jamie, and Kevin, the members of 6 Hours for a Lifetime.
Hi.
Hey.
It's good. So I think for our first episode, I feel like it'll be beneficial for us to learn more about the band and the events leading up to the creation of 6 Hours for a Lifetime. Does that sound good to y'all?
Yeah.
You might not like what you hear, but yes.
Okay, so first question I got is, so out of the three of you, who met first?
I guess me and Jeff.
Yeah, me and Jamie met 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact date and time and all that, but it's been a while.
It was in the summer of 2001. I met Jeff at a mutual friend's house, and I was in my pickup truck working on a CD player, and Jeff said, "Hey, how you doing, bud?" And I said, "Well, I'm fixing to lose my religion. How are you doing?" And he said, "Don't do that."
It's a true story.
And from then on, I was kind of in his back pocket, and I really found something in Jeff that was very, very peculiar to me that I had never, encountered with anybody else. And in my endeavors of trying to figure him out, we just become really good friends, and we started playing music, and one thing led to another, and 20 years later, here we are.
So yeah, about a little over 20 years, me and Jamie met, started playing, like he said, and started just picking around in his upstairs bedroom where he was raised at. And funny story, he says, "Hey man, I know this guy can burn a bass guitar up." I know him real well. He said, "I'm gonna reach out to him, see if he'd like to play with us." I said, "All right, man, that's cool." So we get together for the first time, and it's a guy by the name of Gabe Scarberry, and he's there. We practice, we run through. Well, we jam. We don't practice. Of course, we've not wrote no songs together. I've got the songs that I wrote before I met Jamie, and he'd had a few songs that he'd wrote before me and him had met. And Gabe's filling us out. Well, Jamie leaves the room. He says, "I'm gonna go get a pop. Y'all want anything or something?" I can't remember exactly what he had to do, but he left, went down the stairs, and I looked at Gabe. I said, "Gabe, how you doing, man?" He said, "Good." I said, "So how long you know Jamie?" "Don't know him." I said, "Well," he said, "First time ever being around him." I said, "Are you kidding?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, he told me he knowed you for a while and you was a killer bass player." That's a true story.
Which I had heard Gabe play before.
In your defense?
In my defense, I heard him play before, and he was spectacular.
Gabe was good.
And I had conversated with him because he worked
at Shoe Show.
He worked at Shoe Show.
He sold you a pair of shoes.
And I feel like I knew. I mean, you buy a pair of shoes off a guy, you feel like you know him. I mean,
But yeah, that's a true story. We started playing, started jamming. Before we know it, we was writing music together.
Yep.
Yeah. True story.
And then, here we are all these years later, and then this guy shows up with a bass guitar, and he pretty much just is a godsend.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we would be so less fortunate without the addition of Kevin to what we do. And I think Jeff had known Kevin for years, and neither one of them knew that they were musicians.
Not a clue. Never talked about it.
No, not really.
Just went and played ball tournaments with our boys, and we talked about baseball and everything else other than music. So yeah, and then
I can't remember what you was talking about. You had to go. You was either coming down here or talking about something with Jamie. I just mentioned something to you about when I play a little bit. And well, we need a bass player. Well, I mean, I don't technically play bass. I don't consider myself a bass player, but I can play it. So.
He's slapping the bass.
Yeah. But actually, the first thing I sent you was Believe.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I sent you Believe. I said, hey, man, I said, can you put a piano?
Yeah, that's right.
I've always envisioned this song with a piano. Can you play piano? Sure. And you created a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's to come.
Yeah.
But, without Kevin with us, me and Jamie, we'd be lost right now. Kevin's a godsend. Has took the role of mastering our music and the songs that we're starting out with, 18, 20-year-old songs, and good stuff for sure. Kevin for sure is a godsend.
Well, while you're talking about that, who writes most of the music in the end?
The first few songs that we've chose to do, it's a mixture of me writing and Jamie writing and me and him writing together. The first few songs. Most of the music composed, Jamie composed a lot of the music, the lyrics. Normally I'd come, with some lyrics, and we'd sit down and just come together.
We'd really play off of one another's ideas, and Kevin now. I mean, I can't leave Kevin out of it now, but years past, me and Jeff would sit down and in just a few minutes, and it's kind of like it wasn't even us, and
it's too easy. And and of course Jamie does too. He can testify to this. We give the Lord all the glory of it, because without Him feeding us these lyrics, feeding us these riffs, feeding us the flow of this music, then it wouldn't be possible to be writing the songs we're writing. Mm-hmm. No way, no how.
The thing about the music that we're writing, it's kind of evolved from where we started at 20 years ago, and I'm curious to see what we end up with here in the near future, especially with the addition of Kevin, because I can't say enough how phenomenal of a musician that Kevin really is, and his understanding of just music theory in general. It blows my mind, and this will be I think it'll be a good evolution of an idea of years past, and what he has to add to it. It's going to be something to witness.
I'm curious where we go from, which we've sat down and,
because it'll be different than like with right now. Like you said, you guys wrote all this stuff, and you guys wrote, because that was one of the reasons I wanted to play with y'all. The first time I came down here, we sat down with just acoustic guitars, and I was like, man, these songs are no joke. Like, I just almost got goosebumps thinking about it, because you guys wrote some phenomenal music. So with all the stuff we've recorded so far, it's been like, hey, Jamie does his guitar stuff and has everything down, and we get the lyrics, or you got the lyrics and stuff down, and you guys have just kind of been like, hey, all right, this is kind of the idea of what the bass felt like when we played it before, and then I'd kind of go through and do that, and we'd add the drums and stuff to it, and now it's just going to be kind of, with everything new that we're doing, it's going to be a different dynamic.
I think it'll be easier too.
Yeah.
Because without some measure of pain, there's no growth, and this has been painstakingly produced over the past 8 months, and a lot of late night phone calls. A lot of, what do you think about this? Well, I don't like that. Okay, then what do you think about this? Well, I don't like that either.
I don't know how many songs you've sent back and forth, like, here, check this out. No, we need to do this instead. All right, let me fix it. We'll send it back to you again.
But, thankfully Kevin's patient, and this is going to be an exciting adventure that we're embarking on.
I counted the other night, we have, counting the new stuff we've been working with, which some of it needs polished and worked on a little bit, because obviously we ain't played it a lot. We have 31 songs that we will be recording and releasing at different intervals. So looking forward to see how it goes.
Yeah.
We're back here with 6 Hours for a Lifetime, and speaking of the name 6 Hours for a Lifetime, where did you get it from? Like, where's it stem from?
Well, we was back and forth with names. Of course, we was back and forth on different names, and we come up with a cool name, and not just a name. We would really think about the names we was going through, and everything
was taken.
Every name we would Google it, and sure enough, somebody had that cool name.
Yeah.
And I talked to Jamie and Kevin, and there's a song later on with a lyric that's written in the song, mentions 6 hours of pure agony.
Yeah.
And them lyrics is in that song, and I told Kevin and Jamie, I said, well, about 6 hours. And we went back and forth, and then when I told Kevin paused there for a minute. We was on the phone, and Kevin says, 6 hours for a lifetime. Just flowed off his tongue, because he was thinking about, because I explained to him what the 6 hours was, that Christ was on the cross for 6 hours before he gave up the ghost. So he hung there for 6 hours, and he got thinking of the spiritual side of it. He hung there for 6 hours for my lifetime. And when he said 6 hours for a lifetime, it was, hey, 6 hours for a lifetime. That ain't bad. So we still went back and forth with it, and we Googled it immediately.
Yeah.
And
we started doing that with everything we came up with.
So it wasn't taken. It was not taken. So we said, this is it. We're going with 6 hours for a lifetime. So there's how we chose the name. And like I said, the 6 hours that Christ hung on the cross, just imagine what he went through, first of all, and secondly, for everybody's lifetime, that your existence on this earth, he hung there for 6 hours and bore your sin for 6 hours for your entire lifetime, whether you live to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, however old you live on this earth, he took your place for 6 hours. Not to mention all the bruised for our iniquity, wounded for transgression, chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we're healed. Not to mention all that, but theirs were 6 hours from a lifetime, pinned down, picked, and that's what it means.
Yeah.
Christ paid 6 hours of his life, his last dying breaths, for your and our lifetime. Y'all know anything to add?
No, I mean, I think that the relief that I found when Jeff said we submitted it.
Yeah. Dude, it was
I was at work, and I pulled off on the side of the road, and I sat there for a second, and just the relief. I got out and I kissed the ground. I walked over and told the lady in the shop across the street, I was like, I'd just like to say thank you that we finally found her name. And she just looked at me and, no, but on a serious note, I mean, I think the name itself speaks, it's kind of our mission statement, really.
Yeah.
When you listen to the music, these songs are a depiction of at times in our lives, whether we were doing well or doing poorly. I think that the 6 hours for a lifetime, if you dissect it down to its purest meaning, this is the meaning of life. This is the crucifixion, is the story that we're trying to tell. And I think that if we stay true to seeking after God and trying to I guess unlock the mysteries of what his grace and mercy really is. I mean, the crucifixion itself is absolutely the place that we are trying to stay true and I guess spread the good news of it.
and try to walk in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important that y'all are doing this to try to lead others to walk in it as well, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole reason of this.
We're back here with 6 Hours for a Lifetime with Jeff, Jamie, and Kevin. And what I wanted to ask is, what made you guys want to become musicians in the end? Like, what was like the main driving force?
That is a good question.
I've loved music since I was a kid. Like, I remember being 3 and 4 years old and, singing Skinner and the Eagles and stuff with my mom and Elvis and Alabama. And then I was about 5 years old. I remember watching, it was a Super Bowl with the 49ers and the Bengals. And then right after that, they switched it over to MTV. I didn't have MTV. We didn't have that kind of fancy cable stuff when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And I saw the video for Paradise City. And I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I just saw the dude on there with the long hair and the glasses and playing guitar and all kinds of, and I was like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I'm going to be that guy. And I've just started playing guitar, finally talked my mom into get me a guitar when I was about 15. And, I just went from there to learning. I've always sang since I was little. And my papa did, gospel sings and stuff. And then at church, I sang in choir and everything like that. And we went to an apostolic church, so I would sit and I kind of taught myself how to play the drums just by watching the drummer there. And then that was why I was learning to play guitar and all that stuff. And then just learned about the bass guitar from playing the guitar itself. And then I bought me a little book that showed me the keys on a keyboard for piano and all that stuff to play songs that way. And I'd started recording and stuff on my own when I was like 18. So it's just always been like, I've always loved music. And then once I started playing guitar and trying to write music more, it's just been, it's in my DNA from here on out. I've never ever stopped playing.
So Kevin, what'd be like probably your favorite instrument out of everything you've played?
I'm most comfortable with the guitar, playing guitar. I love it. Like, there's just something about it. But my favorite, and I wish I was better at it, would be piano. Like, I love playing piano. I wish I was a lot better at it. I need to practice a little bit more, but I don't know. There's just something about it. It's just different.
Sounds real like, not magical. That's not the word.
Kind of sometimes if you play it right, it's just because you got the whole range of music from your low bass all the way up, and it's just, when somebody can really play piano, there's just something about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. What about you, Jamie?
I started playing when I was about 6 or 7, and I was like Kevin. I went to church and watched the guys play, and my great uncle, which I stayed with him quite a bit through the summer months especially, and every time the church doors was open, we were there, and he was kind of like the song leader, I guess, and he played guitar, and it was mostly bluegrass, southern gospel, that sort of thing. So my roots started, I guess, with bluegrass, and I kind of evolved. MTV played a pretty big role in that, but it's always been a part of life for me, and it's definitely been a way for me to kind of relay my emotions. It's a very good avenue to be able to vent emotion, and the sky's the limit. You get out of it what you put into it, and this has been a lifelong journey for me. As a guitar player, I'm always trying to learn and trying to grow with it. But it started from it started from being in church and seeing the guys play. And I've not always played Christian music, but I'm glad I found my way back to it. And please ask me what my favorite instrument is to play.
All right. What's your favorite instrument then?
Trumpet. I love to play trumpet.
The trumpet?
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah, I played trumpet in high school, and even at night now, even when every night, I've done it for so long. I finger the scales on my pillow that's how I fall asleep.
I played trombone in 6th grade.
Did you?
We have a brass section now.
We could do this.
I mean,
Have a whole trumpet solo just in the middle of the song.
Hey, I think Louis Armstrong's one of the greatest musicians that ever breathed air.
Yeah, man.
Oh my God.
That came out of like complete left field,
I knew they would
honestly.
get Jeff. But I love classical music too.
Yeah.
Like I listen to classical music. Probably 50% of the music that I listen to is classical music, and I'm inspired by all of it.
It's a good way to be. Kind of incorporate all kinds of music genres. All right, Jeff, your turn.
What I guess started me to play music. I've always loved music. I don't sing as great as I would love to sing, but I love to sing. And I've always sang, you know, even when I was little in church, I'd sing. Sang growing up. I remember singing with Mom and Dad as coming back from Sunday school and stuff. Always singing the old hymns or some of the old Southern gospel songs during that era and time. But when we was little, I can remember Mom playing the old records and the 8-tracks of Waylon Jennings, Conway Twitty, stuff like that, and we'd sing along to all those old songs as kids. I'm talking real little kids, but as time went on, of course, you know, I'm a kid in the '80s, and I love '80s rock. Love all '80s rock. Obviously, my favorite's GNR. Because it was the best of that era, in my opinion. But the 80s rock fades out of the picture, and then I'm in my teens, and the 90s rolls around, and I hear a voice in a band that when I heard the album Nevermind by Nirvana, not only did it blow me away, but it just fascinated me. It drawed me, and I love 80s rock, but it drawed me, and then I started listening to some Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots. That genre of music, if you ride down the road with me, you're gonna hear probably one or the other. Most 90% of the time, but saying that, it captivated me. Just that sound, the lyrics, the just everything. And with my Christian roots, love to sing, and I gave my life to the Lord in August the 22nd of '99, and I started going back to church, and I wanted to play with the choir. I wanted to sing, not only sing with the choir, but I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. So bought a guitar. Actually, my mom paid for it because I was out of work at the time because my drug habit. But anyway, give my life to the Lord, and started learning to play the guitar, and prayed about it. And I just prayed, God, just help me learn how to play this guitar, and started playing it. And when I learned the basic chords, I would sit down late at night, and before I knew it, I was writing songs. I was writing Christian music the way that I felt it from my heart. I believe everybody's got a song in their heart. I believe everybody has a song in their heart. And as I was inspired to write these songs, I was learning to play the guitar all at the same time. It's hard to imagine that, but it's the truth. But I play the rhythm guitar. That's about all I can play, and I love to sing. But that's my background in music, and I thank God that He's give us these songs and this music. Like Jamie said, it's a little mixture of everything. And now with Kevin, even the new music we've been working with Kevin, it is you can't put a finger on it and say that sounds like this, because you've got anything from southern rock to grunge to
like
80s rock,
early 2000s,
a little bit of Tool sound.
Yeah.
You've got a little variety of everything, and I think that's what makes it great. You know?
But, not to take anything away from what we do, but when you think about music, and everyone should be open-minded about this when they hear this, because no matter how, think of it this way, no matter how fast that I beat a drum, just a single drum, just take a snare drum for instance, I can beat it 130 beats a minute, I can beat it 2 beats a minute, I can beat it 200 beats a minute, and I've not said one word. The drum has no bearing in the message of the song. Mm-hmm. You can relay emotion with the music. Now that's a given, but the main thing about what we do is the message that we're singing about. And essentially these songs, it's almost that we're preaching a message in every song. And the key is to be open-minded with what we're doing and pay attention to the lyrics, because we do have a different sound. That's probably an understatement, but no matter how heavy that we play or how light, without the message, then the music is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. But that's my background pretty much in music, and what instrument I play. The guitar. It's all I can play. Tried to play the piano. It's hard to do.
Voice is an instrument, buddy.
I guess.
I remember one of the first songs that I'd ever heard that Jeff had written, because I'll be honest with you, when I first met Jeff, I really liked Jeff, and early on in the relationship, I'd heard him play, and to be honest, I was not that impressed.
True story.
Not that I'm any kind of great musician, but
I can't play guitar very well.
When I heard him, I thought, this is not going to work, and I'll never forget it. We were on the creek bank. We were fishing, and you had a guitar, and you said, "Look, listen to this song I wrote," and you sang. I was wondering in a day.
He saved my soul.
Saved my soul. Yep. You sang that, and I looked at you and I was like, "Why have I not heard this before? This is great." And all these years later, even now, if I sing at church by myself or go somewhere, I sing that song, and I tell people, I'm not going to do this justice, but the guy that wrote this, he's a dear friend of mine, yada yada yada. But when he played that song for me, I knew that there was something to what we were doing. I knew that that this was special, and
the way he goes through and writes, because I've wrote songs, and I've tried to write gospel music and Christian music, and it just doesn't come out right when I'm writing lyrics. And it's just not, I'm never satisfied with that. And then I come down here with y'all, and we sat down and you guys started playing, and I was like, and it was not just one song here, one song, it was every song consistently was well written like that lyrically, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, this guy's a genius. Like that's immediately what I thought. And I'm sitting there like, and I've known Jeff at this point for years, you know, from ball, and I'm like, where you been hiding this at, man? Like, you didn't tell somebody that you're able to write lyrics this good, and you know.
Jamie left me stranded about 20 years ago. No, about 18.
Well, in my defense, I was figuring some stuff out. It just took me 20 years to do it, but no, I think Kevin's spot on. I mean, Jeff is definitely a poet. Nobody can deny him that. It's almost obnoxious, really, to a musician.
How easy he comes up with lyrics.
But at the end of the day, you know, and he'll agree with this too. Without the inspiration of the scriptures, there would be no 6 hours for a lifetime. There would be no. Yeah, we can
It's more than
we can get
music.
together and jam, and it's all good. It's all good fun, but the message behind this and the way that he can convey what the scriptures say through song, it's second to none.
So we went over almost everything about y'all. How do you guys record your music? Like, where do you guys get together, or do you guys just record separately?
Kevin?
Well, it's a little bit of both, because we've had some recording sessions here at Jamie's. We also go through and we all record, you know, individually at our own houses, and then we basically go through and we got a Google Drive that we upload stuff to, or they just send me files through text or whatever, and go through and put everything together. Like, for a while, whenever we first started, it was a little bit harder to get everything done until we kind of got the process figured out. Like, we met down here a few different times, right?
Yeah.
And we'd go through and sit in there and record, and now we've got it to where it's a little bit easier. Like, Jamie can throw down his guitar track. Like, the last one we did, didn't we do, you guys sent me an idea of the beats per minute, and I set up drums and then sent it to you.
Yeah.
And you sent the guitar tracks back to me, and then I took that and sent it to Jeff. And while Jeff was doing the vocals, I came up with a bass part, and then, you know, so I keep like the main tracks and everything, but we use scratch tracks to go through and try to get the idea of what's going on. And then once we do that, I get the bass part and everything figured out. He goes through, and like Jamie may want to go through and redo a guitar or something, or we put the initial first track together. So we'll go through and I'll get a little mix of it done the best that we can, and then I'll send that back to them and see what they think. And we'll nitpick here and there, this thing, that thing, maybe we need to do this, maybe the arrangement needs to be changed a little bit or something like that. And then we'll go back through and it's just a back and forth, a lot of sending stuff back and forth, a lot of me sending over mixes that I think might sound okay, and then us making adjustments on it. Like with Believe, one of the songs, that one was the piano and stuff, and it started off, you had me do that, and then you were like, it's too slow, speed this up. I mean, just little things back and forth, and most of the time it's not that hard. We've had a couple issues with vocal tracks that we went back through and re-recorded, different stuff like that if we don't get it right. But that's the good thing about nowadays with the technology we have. We can just go through and, you know, if I'm like, hey Jeff, this vocal track isn't, you know, full enough, can you go back and re-record it, send it back to me, something like that.
Well, I figured back then you only had like one shot at that point.
Dude,
and then
I was telling Jeff the first time I recorded, I was even recording on a computer, and I started recording because that was my whole reason I learned how to play everything I could play, because I was a songwriter. I didn't have a band at the time, so I wanted to write music and put all the instruments on it. So I recorded with, and you guys probably have zero clue what I'm talking about, but it was a little microphone that you plugged into your computer microphone input in your sound card back then, and it was probably about 12 inches long, and it sounded absolutely horrible. and I just got my acoustic guitar up close to it and then sang into it and done everything else on the computer itself. But compared to the stuff that we have now, like, because I use Logic Pro X for recording stuff. What's the one? Ableton. He uses Ableton. But the good thing about it is, I mean, you just export things as WAV files and stuff like that, and then send it back and forth, and it doesn't really matter which interface you're using with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like as easy as pulling teeth. These
compared to whenever we think about this, how long did we spend on Let Me Be?
6 months.
Well, I remember that one email that I sent you. No, I uploaded it to Google, and I think I put in the title of.
I know that we all hate this song.
No, what was it? Let Me Be will be the death of all of us.
But we've since figured it out and got it.
It's going a lot smoother.
It is. I've learned more.
It will go faster.
Yeah, because I've always produced music. I mastered a little bit, and I've never been that guy. But I have watched so many videos on YouTube and found so much great information that now, like, I'm creating my own templates for whenever we record, so I can just drop stuff in, and it's so much smoother now.
Like Jamie said earlier, Kevin, it was just like Kevin was meant to be. All three of us don't believe in coincidence.
No.
It's like he was meant to be part of this, and without Kevin, we wouldn't be doing this podcast probably today. Probably would be.
I mean, all you have little faith, blow Kevin's head up. I mean, he's all right.
Well, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have taken it this far, though.
We need to thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I didn't say any of it.
But it goes hand in hand, because anybody that mixes and produces music will 100% tell you, you cannot take crappy recordings and a crappy song and make it sound good. It just doesn't happen, period. So you guys have came up with great, because everything that we worked on so far has been y'all's original stuff that I've just added bass lines to, and or drums, whatever. But I couldn't have taken that and made it sound good if every recording sounded like garbage, if the composition and the song itself was just a bad song. These are well-written songs, really well-written. You guys send me good material, and it's just easier to work with. And it goes, like I was saying, it does go hand in hand. Y'all might say that if it not been for me, well, I wouldn't have taken what I'm doing to the next level, because I was okay, but us having this music and me trying to figure out how to do this better and getting the inspiration, like we all said, it's not me, it's coming through him, and it's just taking it to the next level where I'm doing stuff now with the producing and the mixing that I never thought I was capable of.
Yeah, and it's phenomenal too. I mean, you've done a really, really good job.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've talked about the band itself, how can people actually listen to it? What platforms will you guys be on? Some of the main ones, at least.
Well, we'll be on everything. We're actually going to go through a website called DistroKid, and they're a distributor for music. So all your major platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, it'll be on everything. Pandora Radio, you'll be able to listen to it on that. So it'll be distributed. I think it's over 150 different musical platforms. So everybody will get to listen to it on whatever they prefer. We're going to do the same thing with the podcast and everything too. We're going to put it on every platform that you can pull a podcast up on, so that way everybody is able to listen to it, and we try to reach as many people as possible, because that's the whole point behind it. It's not about us and what we get out of it. It's what we can give to everybody else and them in the right direction. And we'll have a YouTube artist page and everything as well that people can go to, and
And a Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page. I'm gonna get a website done so I can get all that added in and everything as well.
The goal is, once we start uploading the music, once every couple of weeks, we're going to try to have a podcast on the song that's been released. We're going to start off with singles, releasing a few singles here and there. The goal is initially to release one full album with some of the singles that we have released. Release a full album.
Do you have any plans after that?
Right now we have 31 songs, so the goal is 8 to 10 song albums. So we're still writing music, and we're not going to stop writing music until we feel led to. But once every couple of weeks, the single that's released, we're going to maybe dive into the message and kind of behind the lyrics of the song, because these songs, the first songs that we're going to do is obviously 20 years old. It's the old material. We may throw a new song here and there. On the first album, we've been back and forth. We ain't nailed it down. We may throw one or two one of our newer songs that we've worked together on. But the first few songs is going to be some of our older material, and it was just the message behind them songs, the time period in our lives. I was young, in my early 20s. Jamie was in his late teens. It'll be hopefully inspiration to people to Christian people and young Christians that's starting out with the Lord, and
the lost,
of course, but just behind the music, so to speak, behind the lyrics of the music and the message behind the songs, which, as Jamie's emphasized, it's all about the message behind the songs. Yeah, the songs are structured good, the music's good, but the words, without the word we can't have life. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. So all the music's inspired from the Word of God and things that we was going through in that time period. These first few singles we're releasing is tied lyrically to the Word of God and the things we was going through. So we're looking forward to that. Kind of a little bit of dirty laundry in there. As a young Christian, people just want to throw in the towel when they make a mistake. They feel like they've let God down. But in all reality, God's grace is sufficient. When you're weak, He's strong. You just got to bear the chastisement of God, and slowly but surely He will get all unrighteousness out of you. His blood will cleanse you from all unrighteousness. But if you give up, then He can't help you through it, and you'll look back. You'll look back at the things you made mistake early in life, and you're like, shoot, I battled that for no reason. It is true. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. You just got to keep your faith, keep believing that past, present, and future sin, He cast your sin far as the east to west, never be brought up in remembrance against you. That's the key to it. Believing that, faithfully believing that. Because you walk away from your faith believing that, then you're back in darkness. But as long as you keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, believing in the cross, believing that He nailed your sin to the cross at Calvary till the day you die, and slowly pressing towards the mark of the high calling. The race is not to the swiftest, but he that endureth to the end. But we fight, as Apostle Paul said, not one that beateth the air. We run the race to obtain first place, because only one wins the prize in the end of the day. So, the message and the songs is great. The structures of the song, I think they're great. Looking forward to it, and that's the plan upcoming weeks, and we'll see how it goes.
Thanks for joining us today, and make sure to check out 6 Hours for a Lifetime on Facebook to follow along on updates and release dates. And until next time, this is Keith. You've been listening For the Broken, featuring 6 Hours for a Lifetime. See you next time, where we discuss 6 Hours for a Lifetime's first single, Elijah.